dump out the bag. Find the socks. Okay, boop. Race belt, gels. Put the watch on while running race pace, that'll be interesting.
Packing up your bike?
2 days post Indian Wells, packing up the bike for my first back-to-back half Ironman race weekends off to Ecuador tomorrow night. Pretty pumped, pretty excited, but hurts to walk, so I have no idea how this is gonna go. And yeah, fired up to race for a podium instead of an 11th this weekend.
Testing.
All right, 48 hours post Indian Wells 2023. Let's talk about it.
Well, I'm drinking Heineken Zero because I am off to Ecuador tomorrow to do my first back-to-back weekend double. Legs are sore. I guess that means I raced hard. But yeah, proud of the effort at Indian Wells. It was an awesome day. 11th place. Not my best result in a pro field, but probably one of my strongest races to date, at least until the final 5K, or at least the run. It was a great day, man. Super proud. It's always fun being at this level and racing the best.
What did the weekend look like for you?
Left on Friday after work, had a pretty busy work week. I'm taking some time off for Ecuador, so it's just been a grind, but drove to Indian Wells, nice easy drive, packed up the car with my wife who just graduated from PA school, so she's finally been able to come to some races with me, and she's coming to South America with me also. Got in, stayed at a dope Airbnb with my boy Kyle and his girlfriend Shay and George and Kim, and then our other friends came over for a little post-race party, so it was just an awesome vibe. Did a really long extended taper of 2 weeks off of a good block, so just came in really pretty fresh, pretty confident that it was going to be a good day. Final workout before the big day. Friday morning, Indian Wells in 2 days. We got Mike here, wrapping up the Vegas taper camp. We've been here for 2 weeks training every day together. Little 2K easy with a few pickups, and then we'll see if we are ready on Sunday. You never really know until the gun goes off.
Looks like you had a good swim, right?
Yeah, the swim was awesome. I mean, this was one of the deepest swim fields, I think, in all of Ironman this year. You had Mark Dubrick, who won the 70.3 St. George, and I think the 70.3 World Swim. Ben Canute, who leads out of the water all the time. Greg Harper, who's an Olympic trials butterflyer and has won a bunch of swims. The list goes on. Matt McElroy, and then these 3 Norwegian ITU guys. So it was just insane. And I'm a pretty strong swimmer, but I've gotten dropped from front packs before. And in Oceanside, I was a minute down and never bridged to that front group until mile 40. And so I knew making that front swim pack would be critical. And I've just put in a bunch of work in the pool since Cozumel, and just went out really hard, and actually thought I got dropped in the second group, but then I think I was right behind Ben and Mark, who actually were able to bridge up to that front group. So came out of the water pleasantly surprised that I was in 13th place, just 40 seconds off of the lead swimmer, but still connected to that front group.
Go, Matt, go!
Let's go.
Teams to swim team. This is swim finish. We're getting our first swim finishers out of the water now. Just test and go for teams.
All right, Graf!
Justin, 41 seconds.
It was a pretty fast swim, but it felt hard the first half and then really easy the second half, which I guess that's just kind of how it goes. Got through T1 pretty well. That's been a weakness of mine, but my buddy Mike Arashida, who's been staying with me here in Henderson for a couple weeks, just pushed me to actually practice last week, and I got the water-based lube and some rubber bands, lube and rubbers. Dialed that in on T1 and practiced, and it showed on race day, so I didn't lose that 30 seconds that I have been losing and having to bridge up. So I did have to bridge up for about 5 minutes at about 350 watts to connect that front group. But then from there, I was smooth sailing into the bike. Bridged up into the front bike pack, and I was exactly where I wanted to be in this race. I knew it was going to be critical, and I turned around and I could see really far, and I didn't see anybody. So I was like, all right, I'm in it. There's 10 of us. And I sit in like 9th or 10th wheel, and it was super easy. I mean, I was sitting at like 290 watts, 145 heart rate, probably like a 4 or 5 out of 10 effort. And I was actually really surprised. We were flying, and we were all riding, I shouldn't say all, I mean, there were a couple drafting penalties given out. I won't name names. I don't know if it was intentional or accidental, but like when you've got 10 guys riding 30 miles an hour, exactly 12 meters apart, there is a massive benefit in the back. And we had refs on us all day. And we were riding, you know, as legal as possible with the rules that are in place right now, which is like when you have refs on you, looking at you, you're at 12 meters. But it was easy in the back. I mean, it was crazy. And I've heard numbers like, oh, it's 10 watts per bike. I mean, it's not quite that much when you're on the 9th or 10th wheel, but I know this because I rode in the back of the group for 25 minutes, and then I led the group for about 25 minutes, and it was about 290 to 340. So it was 50 watts if you're getting strung along by the front guys or if you're pushing the pace. So I chose to sit in for 25 minutes, let the race unfold, see if Sam and Jackson, I wanted to go to the out and back to see what the gaps were looking like, because I knew the bike would start when Sam and Jackson come through, which happened last year really early, like mile 12 or 15. But when I realized we were flying and that wasn't gonna happen, I decided to go up to the front. And so I pulled ahead of Canute and slotted into 3rd or 4th wheel and sat there behind the Norwegians for a few miles, and then just decided to roll the dice. I knew getting off the bike with 10 guys with Sam and Jackson coming hot on my tail was not gonna lead to you know, a money spot or a top 5 or 10 finish for me. Just running, you know, I kind of knew 117, 118 would be my best run on the day if everything went perfectly. And so I took a risk. I rolled the dice and said, like, screw it. I'm just going to like ride off the front and see who comes with me and see if I can make these guys hurt, because it felt pretty easy. And so I went off the front about, you know, 480 watts for a minute and then 400 for another minute, and burned a ton of matches. My 10-second power was like 680 or something. And so, I mean, maybe it was stupid, maybe it was a little reckless, but I just was like having a blast leading the front of a stacked pro race. And then I turned around and we had a gap, and so I was like, all right, let's keep pushing it. I yelled at the Norwegians like, let's go, and then they pulled through, and then I kind of blew up and sat in the 3rd spot and then came through again. And the 3 of us worked really hard from like mile 35 to 56 to try to build a gap, and it turns out it was like literally a 1-minute gap. So it was a lot of work for what felt like almost nothing. But now looking back at the splits, like some of the other guys fell off that group that had gotten splintered because of the effort from Casper and I, and the other guy, Sebastian Werner, I think is his name. So it was just epic leading a pro race like that and riding 2 hours. It was my best bike split. I did 25 minutes over 360 watts and 10 and a half minutes over 400. And I think that's really what cooked me. I don't think it was the 320 watt average or normalized power that I did. Like that was fine. But it was the amount of time like way above threshold that just depleted like all of my muscles. And I felt from the first step of the run, like, oh, this is gonna be rough. And I didn't know if I'd be walking or what it would look like, but you know, the run it was cool. I came off the bike in 2nd and just started chipping away. I ran the first mile at 540 with Sam, like for like a minute. Sam Long, who was coming by me, I was a huge fan of him, so it was like dope to even like be racing him for a second. And then I just kind of chipped away, and you know, I basically got passed by one guy every mile. Every single time somebody would pass me, they'd be running about 5:30 pace. I'd be running 6:10 pace, and it was just a little hopeless. Like I'd run with them for like 10 seconds and then just let them go. I didn't have anything left. So a lot of lessons learned. I was like super fired up about the day, and I wouldn't have done anything differently, because I could have ridden 3 minutes slower and I probably would have ran 118, and I could have ridden 4 minutes slower and I could have ran 117, and if I rode 5 minutes slower, I probably would have ran 117, 118. So I didn't blow up, I just ran slow. And it was a tough course for me. So coming off a year of injury, showing I can swim and bike with the best in the world, is just crazy, really pretty exciting. I was really scared going back to Oceanside next year in St. George and this Ironman Pro Series, and like, shit, should I just cherry pick like the smaller races and go to South America and race challenge races, and you know, and now I'm like, no, like I can freaking race these guys. Like at least until the run, I can be in the race. And in a race with hills and punchy and even stronger guys on the bike, like I can build a gap. And like, I'm confident I can get to the 116, 117 run by next year and be finishing top 5 podium with my swim bike combo. So that's kind of where my head's at. It was confidence inspiring, despite ending up 11th and no money or anything, but that's not what it's about at all for me. And I was just like fired up to be behind, right behind such an elite class of guys and sort of like the best of the rest, as many of us mid-packers say. Like the top 10 were big names, you know, a bunch of Olympians on there, a bunch of world-class PTO guys, and then me, and then everyone else. So like, I feel like that's a pretty cool spot to be in right now.
So what do you think it's going to take for you to get to that next level on the run?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, that's why I have a coach. I've worked with Lauren Goss for 5 years. Like, she's an elite runner. I've been injured, right? So like, when I look at this year, I didn't run from April to September, or April to August at all. And then it was really conservative with almost no speed work. And then even from Cozumel to Indian Wells was like pretty light work. Like, I was finally getting to 35, 40 miles a week consistently. But only like 6 to 8K of sub-threshold 6-minute pace work. I did not a single track workout, no real hill repeats, no big long runs over hour 40. So I think it's about building consistency over an extended period of time, which is like the most boring answer ever, but that's kind of what all of triathlon is about. And you know, I tell you as your coach all the time, like nothing happens overnight, nothing happens month to month. So do I think I'm gonna run 112 in 2024? Absolutely not. Do I think I can chip away 3 minutes and run 116 every time? Yeah, I do. Because I know the speed is there, and it's about finding that balance between overbiking, running well, and being a little bit stronger and more resilient. But the off-season plan is going to be get through Ecuador, take some time off. Then I'm going on my honeymoon to Buenos Aires and trekking in Patagonia with my wife, like 100 miles, not bringing a bike. We're gonna go for 17 days. So it's gonna be a hell of an off season for me. But that's what life's about. And I haven't done a trip with her in a long time that's not triathlon related. So she deserves that for sure. And then January 25th, it's gonna be all focus on Oceanside, St. George, potentially Chattanooga, 70.3 Mont Tremblant, maybe Ironman Lake Placid. Like, I'm just going to go for all the biggest North American races and try to make a name for myself and finish with those guys. And I think it's going to be about finding that balance between just staying healthy and being consistent, and then just slowly pushing the envelope on the speed work, focusing on, you know, diet and sleep and all the other stuff I've been doing so much better this year since my injury, which was a bit of a wake-up call. So yeah, I don't think it's any magic recipe. I just hope to just continue to improve as I have every year for the last 6 years in the sport. All right, well, you had a hell of a weekend. You gotta come pop a squat. I get to interview you now. You get to see the man behind the camera.
Let's do it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome Kyle Holen, Organic Ironman. Kyle's been my boy for a little over a year now, since he moved to Henderson, and has been doing all this media stuff in exchange for coaching. And we've been swimming together 3-4 days a week, riding on the trainer all the time, and you know, just had his best result at Indian Wells, dropped 58 minutes in his 70.3 PR, which is pretty awesome. Went from 620 to 528 or something like that.
Yeah.
What do you think the key to your, you know, a lot of people probably watching this are like right around that 6 hour mark, trying to get to 5 hours, or even going from 5 hours to 4:30. Like, what do you think the keys to your success were this year to make that big jump? Because you only drop an hour in your 70.3 one time in your career.
It's a one-time deal. Honestly, I think it was just the consistency. You said it early on too. It was just consistent. There's no real big secret, you know, and I think that's the name behind what I'm doing. It's organic, right? Everything, there's a lot of fluff you see on Instagram and YouTube and all these other social media platforms, but nothing's going to beat consistent hard work, showing up. We worked together, and he was posting on Slack that he's doing these races, and then I'd see his result and he was winning. I'm like, what? Who is this dude? So, and seeing him, and he had a full-time job too. I'm someone that has a 9-to-5 as well. And, you know, seeing someone at that level still working at a high level too, right? I saw he was the director of marketing at the time. And how does this guy have the time, right? So once I got here, saw the work he was putting in, doing the small things every day, especially when he was injured. You know, we did a lot of content when he was injured, and I was over here a lot. And I think that's when we kind of really got close, when he got injured, and seeing it inside and seeing the small things you had to do, eating, sleeping, showing up. I mean, even just aqua jogging. I mean, we'd swim and he would just sit there and aqua jog. It wasn't fun. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't glamorous, but he would do it. So
yeah. This isn't about me though. Like
I know, but I saw those things, right? And those were things that I really saw, and something that I implemented as well. You know, I was training. I was doing this stuff since 2021. I picked it up during COVID, and I was an athlete. I played college football, so I always kind of knew what the little things were. They always say the little things, but being around Justin, I saw what those little things kind of were. So that's really what it was. I mean, obviously, Justin saw my training and was like, "You're overtraining. You're doing my watts." So you know that goes into a lot of play too, and really making sure that your training's dialed in. You know, there's a lot of coaches out there that just want to say, "Hey, go bike for an hour," or do all these, you know, incremental things. But Justin is a data guy like myself, so he kind of dug in and kind of saw where my weaknesses were. He saw I was explosive. What was the metric that you said was, it's good that it's high, but it needs to be a little bit lower when we did the instinct?
the inside, yeah, like your 20-second power test was like 400 watts higher than mine.
Right. But that's like not that good in triathlon.
Yeah.
So it's things like that, right? So that was it. Really just continuously doing the small things right, and listening to someone like him. So that was really it, honestly. Yep. It was always there, and I think that's where my frustration kind of came. I was going to quit triathlon, and he was like, "No, don't do that." And he just kind of tweaked a little bit of stuff, and yeah.
Yeah.
Sub 5 hours next. Sub 5 hour next.
Hell yeah.
Let's do it.
Proud of you, dude.